Okay, you got to plug the sound in. And there we are. Look at that. It's backwards. You're over there and I'm over here.
I just don't look at it. We could switch, but it'd still be backwards.
It's still going to be backwards. Let's see if we got sound.
No,
We got sound. Okay. That's weird looking up there. I never realized that it was
Flipped.
backwards because I'm always in here by myself, and now I look up there and you're on that side and I'm on this side. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the T350 show. We'll give a few minutes for our audience to check in on us. I'm Jim. Hi, Russ. Neil. We got Josh back with us today.
What, a week ago? Last show?
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Two shows ago.
2 shows ago.
No, it was last week, wasn't it? When I was in Alabama.
Alabama?
Yeah, it was a week. Yeah, it was last week
Last week.
when I was in Alabama. James, how you doing? Good sound. All right. Yeah, we checked the sound. We think we're in pretty good shape there. So you guys talked a little bit about toolkits last week, and Friday we bopped in and gave a couple toolkits away. You two gentlemen, David and I can't remember the other guy's name that won. He's a relatively new guy. But you fellas that won the toolkits, hang in there. Those are going out here in a day or two. We ran out of torque wrenches. So we ordered new torque wrenches, and as soon as the torque wrenches come in, we'll ship those build kits out to you, those tool kits. In fact, they're still sitting right down there on the floor. So we're back this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about the AR10. We deal a lot with AR15s. We do a lot with AR15s, and the AR10 is obviously part of that family, and you can build an AR10 just as easily as an AR15 if you kind of know what to watch out for, if you know what the pitfalls are, and where the struggles can come in. Josh, this is his rifle here.
First AR10.
And you want to hold that up and show everybody what you got here, and
So
kind of
get it back in frame. I'll have to see. There's some lag on the.
Yeah, there we go.
This way. It's backwards. There we go.
Yeah, Myra will straighten you up. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about this one. What do you got? What all you got here?
This is built on a Aero Precision upper and lower. I bought those as stripped lowers, and then I installed my own park kit and trigger. That's all standard stuff. And then I have one of our handguards on here. I think it's an 18-inch handguard on a
looks like it
on a 20-inch barrel.
20-inch barrel, yeah.
I have the Luther AR stocks. Those are just absolutely amazing.
I like the
So
Luther AR
much.
stocks, yeah.
Every little thing you can think of is adjustable on there. That's really it. It was one of my first builds, so it's kind of a test build. I struggled a little bit through it.
Where'd you struggle? What tell us about what your...
A lot of the big issues are, it's not super clear that you have to have a special upper for the lower and everything. It's and the buffer tube is also different, the commercial versus the mil spec. And that was mostly it. That was my first gas tube install too. So,
So in the AR10 platform, much unlike the AR15, there's really not a lot of standardization. The AR15, James wants to know, what is that stock? That's the Luther AR. Yep.
just like that.
Yep. Adjustable cheek, adjustable comb. The comb moves back and forth, adjustable length of pull, and it's also indexable in and out. So it has a ton of adjustability to it, especially for tall guys with long arms. But anyway, back to the, so the AR-15 platform is very standardized. Everybody's stuff fits everybody else's stuff. The uppers are all the same. The lowers are all the same. Now, I preface that with everybody's stuff is supposed to fit everybody else's stuff, right? there's a the 99.9% of AR stuff is going to fit other AR stuff. A couple of companies do a little bit of proprietary stuff here and there, hand guards, barrel nuts, obviously that kind of stuff can be a little bit proprietary, but a good portion of an AR-15 is going to be interchangeable one to the other. The AR-10 platform, like Josh was saying, the uppers and the lowers, you really got to be careful. So there's I believe 4 now different types of AR-10 lowers. There is the Rock River has theirs, the LR series. I think that's the LR is the Rock River LR 308s. Armalite has theirs. They have a very distinct look where
Yeah, they're very boxy.
yes,
From what I
so
remember.
when you look at an AR-10, right, the curvature here of the DPMS pattern on the AR-10, it's very straight and angled. It comes up, angles at 45 degrees, and then goes into an angle again. And you
You
gotta
see that on mine over there? Is mine angle?
no, yours is flat. Yours
Got
is circled. It's not a Armalite pattern. So you got the Armalite pattern, and then you've got the DPMS pattern, and then you have DPMS Gen 1 and Gen 2. Then you have the high and low profile. So you have a whole host of things going on here with uppers and matching the lowers. A lot of the many of the parts on a lower are interchangeable. I believe there's 1 or 2 parts on a lower parts kit that is not interchangeable. Obviously, bolts are not interchangeable. Charging handles are not interchangeable.
From what I remember, I built this almost, 3 or 4 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
One of the main differences between the two styles are these receiver pins. The length of them is different.
Right. The receiver pins are not interchangeable. The trigger pins, I believe, are interchangeable. Most of the trigger
Most
stuff.
of them come with the 2 screws in the threaded center.
Anti-walk, if you're
Yeah.
putting in the anti-walk pins, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to be real careful and do a lot, actually quite a bit of research, or you do what I did with my 308, and I went out and I bought the kit. And when I bought the kit, it was listed as a DPMS Gen 2 low profile upper, and I had to make sure that I got the low profile handguard to go with it and the DPMS Gen 2 lower. So I knew what I was getting into and knew what I had to order because they spelled it right out on the website when I bought the kit. It made it very easy for me. I didn't have to worry about interchangeability and some of the different things that you ran into.
Yeah, I'm definitely a victim of the lack of research. When I first attempted to build this, I bought the lower separately a couple months before I finished the build, and I bought the incorrect upper. I went to go put it all together, had my barrel nut gas tube on, didn't fit.
Right.
So I went on. I took it. Thankfully they took it back, and then they guided me in the right way. Arrow did, so I got their upper.
Mhm.
I believe it's the M5.
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 Arrow M5.
Arrow M5. So that's the upper kit, and then so they actually sell that as a kit, and they sell the parts kit with it, so you can't get anything mixed up.
Right. And that's the best way to go is to get the stuff as a kit and to buy all of your components from the same company if you can. That way things.
And that's another thing. I was reading a lot of forums that if you get the correct lower and the correct upper, if they're made by 2 different manufacturers, sometimes they still won't go together.
Sometimes they still won't go together.
And
correct.
with AR10, apparently that's a lot more common.
Yeah. So you've heard me say, DPMS Gen 1 and Gen 2, and then you heard me talk about the high and low profile. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to explain that to you here real quick. So these are 2 different upper receivers. One is a Palmetto PA10, and the other is a Double Stars AR10 upper. And what it is when you talk about high and low profile is the height of the Picatinny rail as it relates to the center line of the bore of the gun. So if you have an upper and you're not sure which one it is, you can look at the thickness of this tang back here, okay, and you can see the difference in the thickness. Okay.
There's also a very noticeable difference right here. You can see in the Picatinny step, this one's
Yeah.
obviously a lot larger.
Right. The height from the top of the upper to the underside of the Picatinny is obviously visually a lot higher. Okay. The other way you can measure that is you put your barrel nut on and you can measure from the barrel nut, or even do it straight from the threads, you know, and you're going to get, you can see that's 550, and on the low profile it's 500, 490. So there's about 60 thousandths difference between a high profile and a low profile. So when you're buying a handguard, you have to make sure that you get the right profile to match the upper. So you want a low profile to match the low profile. We have two handguards here, the high profile and the low profile. Now, I'll show you what happens when you don't order the right handguard, right? So here's the low profile on a low profile upper, and you can see we have a really nice blend line here between the handguard and the upper. Now, our design, actually, a high profile won't even go on because the anti-rotation ears interfere. But if it wasn't for the anti-rotation ears, you can see how much higher that handguard sits than the upper. That 60 thousandths height differential between the two. Now, if I take the high profile upper and I put the high profile handguard on it, again, we go back to the nice clean lines where everything matches up. The low profile handguard will indeed mount on the high profile because of the extra space that's there, but then you can see we have the big differential between the upper and the lower. That's 60 thousandths. Now, is it a big deal? Yes and no. With Josh's setup, if it has a scope on it, it's not really a big deal. On my setup, where I have the iron sights on it, it becomes a big deal because now your front sight is either sitting up higher or lower than your back sight. And depending on the adjustability of your front pin, maybe you can't zero your weapon out. Okay, so you want to always make sure that even if you're using a scope, you get the right profile handguard because you may want to put iron sights on it someday and
They won't line up.
they won't line up. Make sure I get these matched back up the way they're supposed to. And these are our Foundation Series AR10, available in both high and low profile. Gotta throw that in there.
Oh, we're clicking stuff over there
Uh-oh.
on the mouse. I don't know if we did anything bad. Okay.
No, we're good. We're just making little emoji faces at the bottom of the screen there. we went to do a one day. Was it you and you were filming and the Instagram filter thing came up and it tried to put a blue beard on me and it was doing all kinds of strange stuff. So you know, this is a great platform for hunting, where you're allowed to hunt with ARs and where you're allowed to use semi-automatic rifles. The 308 is a great all-around platform for hunting. This thing is going to take down any big game animal here in North America. Deer, elk, moose, bear, whatever it might be. There's more than enough power and round here to do anything you need it to do. There's a host of calibers that can be built on the AR10. You have the 308, you have the
6.5.
6.5 Creedmoor, you have the 243 Winchester, you have the 338. You know, there's just a host of options. The new,
So when you
the
go
8.6
between those,
Blackout.
when you go between those calipers, can you keep the same lower? And just is it as modular as the
It-
AR-15?
it's just as modular in that regards as the AR-15, where most of the time the only thing you have to change out is the barrel and maybe the bolt carrier group. And some of the bolt carrier groups are interchangeable, just like the AR-15, as long as the host cartridge or parent cartridge stays the same between the calibers. Like a 350 Legend in AR-15 will use the same bolt carrier group as a 223. Now, the bullet's almost 100 thousandths bigger in diameter, but all it is the fact that the cartridge is not neck down. It's a straight cartridge. It's the exact same parent cartridge as the 223, so you can use the same bolt carrier group, even though the bullet's almost, over 100 thousandths bigger. So, yeah, the 6.5 Creedmoor is very popular in the AR10 platform right now, especially for a hunting caliber. The distance you can reach with it, and you can get just as I'm not discounting the 308. What you've shot yours what?
Yeah, so I built this specifically as like a kind of a distance rifle. Around here, there's not too many ranges that go out that far. I've had it out to 300 yards. I can hit about a 10-inch group at 300 consistently. Most of that is because I am a terrible shot. But and that's with cheap ammo too. I just like to plink around, but with cheap ammo, it holds pretty well.
Yeah.
Quality barrel, quality bolt.
What's your barrel?
Ballistic Advantage.
Okay. And the bolt carrier group was the match.
I do not remember. It's too long ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure it says on it.
So I haven't really I test fired this one a couple of times to make sure that it was functioning. I did shoot it at 100 yards, and I was I was getting a good group. I didn't dial it in, but I was getting a good group. I was an inch or two with iron sights at 100 yards.
So that 100 yards with iron sights at 2 inches.
Yeah, you're doing good.
You're
and
doing
now
real well.
That was off of a rest, but I like you said, there's just not many places around here that you can really reach out and shoot that distance.
And I've heard on some forums that people discredit the 308 for being super accurate, but I've never had an issue, and I mean I think it competes. I mean, ballistics wise, it's up there with all the other ones.
Yeah.
And I mean the U.S. military used it for
a
long time.
Yeah. And the rest of the world uses it. It's in the rest of the world they call it 7.62 by 51, but we call it 308 Winchester. And if you look at the ballistic charts, the 6.5 Creedmoor and the 308 are pretty comparable. The 6.5 Creedmoor doesn't drop off as fast just because it's not quite as heavy a bullet.
It's a flatter shooting gun.
It has a flatter shooting trajectory and doesn't drop off quite as fast.
Big differences with the 308 versus the AR-15s. I would say my biggest issue was the buffer tube. I did not know, or any of the forums I read as well mentioned nothing that there are two different styles.
Even in the AR-15, there's commercial and mil spec.
That is something I messed up.
Yeah.
Because when I bought this stock, I didn't know that it was going to come with a buffer tube, or the stock itself didn't come with a buffer tube.
Right.
And the stock requires a certain buffer tube, so I had to get a different buffer tube, and that was a long process.
Right. And one, I believe it's a commercial butt stock will fit a mil spec.
Yeah, I'm not even going to guess.
Buffer tube, but the mil spec stock will not fit a commercial buffer tube. And the easiest way to tell them apart, one is if you have a pair of calipers you can measure here. Okay, go online and they'll tell you the exact dimensions of what this diameter is. If you have a pair of calipers, you can measure right across here, and they'll tell you what the different sizes are. But a commercial buffer tube, and you don't know which one you have on here?
I'm pretty sure it's the commercial.
Okay, if you look at the back of the buffer tube, it's actually, the commercials are angled. They're cut at an angle where the mil specs are flat. So you can visually tell them apart very quickly just by popping the stock off and having a look at the back face. So let's see. Yeah, less wind drift is also, right. The again, the 308 being a bigger, heavier bullet is going to be more affected by the wind. The sleeker aerodynamics of the 6.5 Creedmoor It makes it less susceptible to wind drag.
I've actually never shot a 6.5.
No, I haven't either.
I'm gonna have to get out there and try one.
Yeah, I have not shot a 6.5 either. I'd like to try one. I wish there was some places around here that we could go and shoot. You know, we were down in Alabama last week, and I wanted to get over to the 600-yard range and do a little shooting. With the weather and the rain when it moved in, I was like, yeah, I'm not into. I want to go do it, but I'm not into getting soaked to go do it. And I didn't have any rain gear with me, so I didn't get a chance to do that. So, you know, you know, in kind of wrapping the whole thing up, if you want to build an AR10 and you want to actually build one, and like Josh did, and order this from here and that, because I like this kit, I like this handguard, I like this stock, I want to do, and I want to mix and match my parts. Research is your friend. Making sure you know what parts fit with what and what doesn't, what is interchangeable and what isn't.
Because a lot of things aren't interchangeable. I even believe the triggers are different for these, correct?
I don't
slightly
think
different.
I believe the triggers are interchangeable.
Are they? Okay, because
I
I was
believe.
doing at least from a 308 to a 15.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember on the website when I was purchasing mine, they'd had a separate one because I thought the holes were a little different.
They could be.
But
I don't
Yeah,
think so, but I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on 308s by any means.
I've only built one, and it
now-
was a journey.
A friend of mine, he went to put a. They are the same? Okay. I
Okay.
thought the triggers might be the same. Now, a friend of mine just ran into an issue. He went to put a drop in. He has a. He just bought a 308, the Smith & Wesson M&P, M&P 10, and it has the ambidextrous mag release on it. No, ambidextrous bolt release. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So it has a button on this side that also releases the bolt. And when you break it open, there's a rod that comes right through the middle of the trigger pocket to the other side. It doesn't interfere with a mil-spec trigger, but it doesn't allow him to put a drop-in cartridge-style
Really?
trigger in
I've
there.
seen a lot of the aftermarket products where there's I think they call it the bad lever.
The bad lever,
That
yeah.
comes under here. Those are pretty cool. So
Yeah.
it's probably a similar.
Yeah, but
design.
his just comes through. There's a hole over here, and
And
it's
a second
mounted, and
button.
so he can't put a drop-in cartridge-style trigger in that. He'd be able to do something like a Geisley SSA. Is that?
I'm not up to date on my triggers.
I think it's the Geisley SSA. He could do something like that with a two-stage trigger or something like that, but a cartridge style is not going to fit in there, obviously, because of that
Yeah.
rod going through the trigger pocket.
Yeah, mine is a drop-in two-stage as well. If anyone was wondering,
Okay.
I think it's a CMC.
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 Okay. You like the two-stage?
Love the two-stage.
Yeah.
It's weird if you're like rapid firing, but it's too expensive to rapid fire this.
Right.
So most of your shots are slow and single, and the two-stage really helps know when it's going to break.
Just like a trigger, or just like your pistol, you come up against that wall.
Yep.
It pulls back to the wall, and then all of a sudden, then it becomes like a drop-in single stage where it just breaks.
Yep. And with this trigger specifically, you can adjust the, I think it's the take-up pull and then the other pull. So I have a 4-inch take-up, and then the for the trigger to break, it's only 2 pounds. So I have that set a little lighter.
Okay.
Um,
Very cool. I wasn't aware you could do that on them.
Yep.
So, going back, doing your research, making sure you get parts that are compatible. If you're not into the research and you don't want and you want to avoid the issues like I did, then I went to CBC Precision Firearms. I bought their complete 308 kit, and then right on their website it told me which lower I had to buy and to go with that kit, and I went out and I bought the lower, and I put the whole thing together without a single hiccup. So I kind of cheated a little bit, but I still built my own AR.
Hey.
Ammo availability.
It's there. There's a lot. You can buy a lot of. I remember when I was first started shooting this. You can get. I don't know if you can get it anymore, but you could actually get surplus, like military ammo, and it's the just standard ball ammo, and it's pretty accurate. That was the ammo that I was shooting 10 inches at 300. Other ammo, availability right now is low.
Yeah.
Everything's low right now.
The last time I bought 308, it was about $1 a round.
Yeah, so for the surplus, I was paying about 70 cents. But I remember at the time, and this was 3-4 years ago, and it was like $1.50 for new. Right now, I actually checked recently. The cheapest ball ammo I could find was like $2.50 a shot.
Really?
Yeah.
For 308, I have
Anything quality like brass case. And,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
I haven't
there's a lot
bought
of steel case out there, Bear, and those couple other brands that.
I haven't bought 308 because, like I said, I've only did a little bit of shooting with this couple of times, and it's probably been a year or more since I bought any 308, and it was $1 something around when I bought it. So
it's no longer a plinking round.
right, not many rounds are.
No.
Yeah, 223 starting to come down. I'm seeing it 50 cents, 50ish, 60.
It's getting there. Yeah.
And I'm seeing 9mm and 35 cent now.
Yep.
So I doubt we'll ever get back to the days of 10, 12, 13
Hopefully
cents,
we do.
9mm.
That was fantastic. Those are good days.
Yeah. So, us that like to build ARs, the next logical progression, like Russ said, he's wanting to build him an AR now. He's built several rifles, not only for himself, but for his Marksman for Vet organization. The next logical place to go is to want to build an AR10, and especially, for guys like me that hunt. It is a good hunting round. It is a good hunting gun. Gives you that long range, gives you that knockdown power that you're looking for big game animals here in North America.
And another thing with the AR-10, so I've shot a lot of 308, like bolt action rifles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In the AR platform, the recoil is significantly less.
Yeah.
And you can have the tanker style muzzle brakes, and you could shoot this gun one-handed, and I would say it probably has a similar recoil to the AR-15, at least mine.
The tank muzzle brake, pretty obnoxious.
Oh, it is very obnoxious. I was at an indoor range the first time I was trying it out, and the muzzle, it's so long, it stuck out past the things. It was blowing people's targets down. And I was obnoxious.
Yeah.
But the tank, it is very, very loud. And a lot of dust, everything kicks up. But it's great for recoil.
Very effective.
That's the only thing it's good for.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes it a lot louder, too.
Sure.
Yeah, the
Sure.
noise is significant.
Right.
Even at outdoor ranges, we go to A&A a lot. If I'm on the bench and someone's at the other end, as soon as you pull the trigger, everyone's jumping and looking over. I'm like, what was that? He just shot a cannon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
the last time
you don't hear it back there behind the trigger.
Not
So,
as much, but
yeah.
it's still loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I went to the indoor range over here, Shoot Point Blank, I was taking my daughter in to do some training as she was getting her CCW permit, and they put me on the range, and I walked up and I started taking all the stuff out. I'd taken the ammo out of the box, taking the gun out, getting everything laid out so we could get ready to shoot. And the same thing, all of a sudden I saw this barrel of a rifle coming out of the chute next to me, and he ripped one off with a 308 with a tanker brake on it. And if I had hair, it would have blown my hair back.
Yeah, the shells are bouncing off the table.
And I walked right over to the RSO, and I'm like, dude, you got to give me another line. I can't shoot next to this guy. I can't do it.
It is not for indoor use. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
But,
So on this one, I have a Grendel Hunter muzzle brake, and that's the 6.5 308 muzzle brake, designed. It's a pretty good design, pretty good at mitigating recoil and muzzle rise. It'd be interesting to shoot this versus that and see what the difference is. We'll have to get together and maybe do that this summer.
absolutely. Have a range day.
Yeah, been
Gives
wanting to
me
do
an
that.
excuse to shoot it. I haven't shot it but since before COVID.
Right.
It's been a while. Ever since ammo shot up, I've been sitting on it. And
Yeah. Yep.
I was waiting for it to go down, so I didn't feel as bad when I shoot it.
James says he did his backwards. His first was an AR-10 and then 4 AR-15s. Well, you're a brave guy. Went right for the tough one first.
I think that's a sign. I think AR-10 was too complicated, so you just went to the AR-15s.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about building an AR-15 pistol build next. I think that'll be the next one.
Yeah. I love my little AR-15
I've yet to have an AR
pistols.
pistol, and I really want one. They look so fun.
They are. They're a lot of fun. And you can build one in 9mm, and
Yeah.
it's
A little
much,
cheaper.
little
Not
cheap,
much, but a little.
little cheaper to shoot, and it's just a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. And they're very accurate. I got an 8-inch barrel. I haven't stretched it out far, but man, I can hold a heck of a group for a 9mm at 50 yards. Shoots very well with an 8-inch barrel.
We'll have to get it. Maybe I'll build it on TV.
There you go.
Yeah.
And get you all the stuff you need, and we'll
Yeah.
build one in here.
That sounds great.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. Do your research, right? Know what fits what. Dry fit stuff up before
Yeah. Don't put your gas tube on. Don't put your gas spark
right,
on.
right, until you make
Muzzle
sure your
brake.
upper and your lower.
Yep.
If you buy them separately, make sure they fit together before you put everything together, and then go to slide the two halves together and they don't fit. So, dry fit your parts up and make sure everything's going to do what you want it to do. Buy a kit, that way everything's good to go. Buy
And then
decent.
a good retention system. So they do have a lot of, I want to say recoil, but at first I didn't have a retention system on mine, and the handguard
Sliding
it
forward.
would slide off every shot. It would move about an eighth of an inch,
Right.
and then I put our retention system on. No issues after that.
Yeah. This is our retention system on this one as well. This is the. In fact, you guys might remember last year or so when I did the rattle can paint job on this one. I just did the black and then stood back and slightly sprayed hammered copper over it to give it that tarnished copper look. So it's starting to wear in a couple of spots and it gets scratched up, but I got $12 into it, right? So I can take it apart and blast it and start over if I want to.
Too hurt. Yep.
I'm not too hurt if it gets a little beat up.
It's just the rugged look.
Yeah, makes it look rugged. So that's 308s. A lot of fun, a little more expensive to shoot, great for hunting. And if you build a couple of ARs, you can definitely build one of these. Just make sure you do your research and buy the right stuff that goes with. That's bugging me. Wasn't on safety. No. I checked it before when he put it up on the table to make sure it wasn't loaded, but Russ says keeping it. Yeah. So we were just talking about pistols, keeping an eye on what the ATF's going to do with pistols. We still don't know where they're going to come down with pistol braces. Who knows? I've got all of my pistols have braces on them.
Yeah, I have a few carbines that I have the SB tactical brace on.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's okay.
Yep. So we'll find out. Otherwise, maybe I've heard talk that they're going to do a grace thing where they're going to let you apply for the SBR permit and not charge you the $200 tax stamp if they make that law. So that would be kind of nice.
Do you know if there'll be any grandfather clause for that if you already have them? Or?
Yeah, who knows, right? Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah. City strip, yeah. Take the anodized, take the spray paint off. Yep. Okay, so thanks guys for joining us. I do have to wrap up and get out of here. I got to get home, pick up the wife, and go pick up my truck. My truck is in the dealership getting fixed, and it's finally done. Yeah, I don't even want to tell you how much it's costing me. My turbocharger went out on my EcoBoost engine. It's more money than I want to spend, believe me. But I got to do it, right? Can't even trade it in and get something decent now because a truck with 80,000 miles on it, they want $40,000 for it. So had to fix mine. Is what it is. So appreciate you guys being with us today. Look for some more information popping up on the websites about the AR10 platform and what it takes to build an AR10. We'll write a blog or two, and this video will pop up on YouTube. So we'll see you guys next week. I'm not sure what we're doing next week. We're kind of...
No, I didn't know we were doing this week.
Yeah, Josh got asked yesterday.
I got a text message last night.
Bring your gun in tomorrow. We're doing a show on AR-10s, right? So join us next week. We'll be in here talking of something about guns. And Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you next week. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR, to upgrade it, or maintain it. We're here to help you do that. We'll see you guys.